Good day, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Inside SWTOR, the show where gamers gab about what's new and hot in the universe of Star Wars The Old Republic. I am Sandy Cindermisha Smith. I am a community manager with fragworld.org, and I'm also guild leader of Pillars of Ajla, a PvE PvP guild on the Juyo server. With me today are my fellow panelists, and I will ask them to introduce themselves. Mac, take it away.
Hi, I'm Brad Behrens. I'm also known as Mac Arthurian and Uriah Dux more recently. Um, I'm having fun.
Also Fast Caught Fraser, also known as FC. And yes, I'm having fun too.
My name is Joseph Schlegel, Days, and my internet connection is bad.
I am Joshua Joshroom Smith. I have a headache, so I'm having less fun. But I'm also a staff writer over at SWTORlife.com, where we post a bunch of new SWTOR updates. So if you ever want a nice little site for getting your SWTOR news, I suggest you check it out.
So if we yell randomly in the middle of the show, you know why, because he has a headache.
Yeah, what a bunch of jerks.
And I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going to go get my wiffle ball and my forget-me stick.
We were going to open today. We open with news and hot topics, and today the new community Q&A was released, and there are a few topics in there that we found to be interesting. Mac, do you want to start off?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Dual spec. When's it coming? When can I use it? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take to activate? Can I use it while I'm in my speeder? Do I have to be out of combat? Do I have to strip down naked? Because I'm not against any of those things.
As we all know.
Yeah, that's
They said that 1.3 is going to be kept kind of lean so that we can get the looking for group, or group finder, I think they called it,
Right.
and the new legacy unlocks, both of which we were discussing. Go ahead.
Do you think that if I send them a nice, well thought out letter and suggested that they change their group finder name to Craigslist Casuals, that would work for them?
I don't think so because Craigslist is already trademarked, so no. They could call it SWTOR list or whatever.
Look
Let's
at
call it
Fastcart being all
Schlegel's
logical.
Shack.
Ruining the joke, FC, with your logic, rational, reasonable arguments.
And your giant shiny headphones.
Are we actually talking about the group finder? Because I think that it's going to have its pros and cons, but I think more so pros than cons. The same with I know they talked about server-wide PvP at some point, which will have pros and cons as well. But I think it'll have more pros than cons. With the looking for group thing, I mean, granted, you can be on the fleet and there can be 127 people on the fleet, but your likeliness of finding a group within those 127 people is little to none, unless you're in a guild and that guild, is feeling generous and is like, yeah, sure, I'll go with you. It's usually really hard to find groups for flashpoints because most people are, leveling so quickly with doing just PvP or even just the planets. I mean, by the time you're done with the first 3 planets, you're already out-leveled your 4th planet.
It all really depends on how they implement it, right? So if it's implemented properly, the looking for group finder could help this game immensely. If it's implemented poorly, it's just going to drive more people away. Although I do agree, just because of how fast it is to level in this game, actually a little too fast, in my opinion, that it is really hard to find flashpoints. I mean, even if you're doing hard modes. So it's definitely a feature that needs to get into the game as soon as they can possibly manage it.
As long as they leave it server specific, I will be happy. There's nothing that drives me more nuts than having to do a group of people from different servers that quite possibly I'm never going to see again, that don't say anything, that don't communicate at all, and just steamroll, whatever. I'm just going to need on everything, and then I'm going to disappear. You're never going to see me again. Who cares? That's not the point. Sorry. That's not the point of a massive multiplayer online game. Is to be online with other people to make friends. Those friendships last quite a long time. You never know where they're going to go. You don't have to be in the same room. That's the best part.
And that was one of the things they said about the group finder tool, is that they wanted to keep it server specific, specifically so that you would be on the same server with the people who are in the group with you, and you couldn't just get somebody who is just an anonymous jerk coming in and acting like a jerk and then not having any repercussions. Like, they will be on the server with you, and if they act like a jerk, then it will affect their reputation. So, and that was part of it. And community building, of course, is the positive aspect of that you get to meet people, but both sides. So, and I thought that was good input.
And I
What was that,
like
Dave?
that idea. I like that idea because I mean, like Max said, also it can be really hard to find like a group, especially on like low pop servers, or maybe you're on a server where your local time doesn't mess with the server that you're on and stuff like that. So yeah,
I think if they could implement a way to perhaps select it, because personally, you do get those crappy groups, and I'm talking about the server or server wide, not just on your server, but on multiple servers getting groups. You do get those crappy groups, but sometimes you can get a good group, and if they could implement something where maybe you can tick, I only want to look for a group within my server, or you can tick, I'm willing to look for groups, broader than just my server. If they could do something like that, it would be really nice. Because to limit it to just server, again, you're going to run into the same issues. I think you're still gonna have a lot of problems finding groups in general.
I kind of got to disagree with you there because I think one of the big problems with trying to find groups for flashpoints, at least while you're leveling, is that since there's no way to share in general chat with people who are on the fleet and say who are on specific planets, I think that's their biggest roadblock. Because unless you happen to be on a planet or on a fleet when there's people looking for it, fine. I can flag myself as looking to do, say, Hammer Station and keep going on planets and keep doing my main quest, and then people say, hey, I'm looking for a group, so let's get in there and do it. And I think it's fine to implement it the way they are. I think if they go cross-server, they get into a place where they're going to start destroying the server communities, which is something that they said pretty specifically they don't want to do. They're really big into building up community on the server and having everyone feel connected. So that's why they need to do this, in my opinion, just on your server in order to keep true to that staying with the community building.
I will have to agree with you there. That actually does make a lot of sense. I guess in theory it does sound like a good idea, being able to group with having such a big pool to draw from, but building community, and again with what Sim was saying about repercussions of if you're going to be a jerk, then the server's going to know about it. I'll have to kind of withdraw my statement and agree with you there.
Well, it's kind of funny that you bring up if I'm not, if I'm on the fleet and I'm looking for a group, and somebody that's looking for a group happens to be on that specific planet, and I'm on a planet, not on the fleet, the looking for group finder would be helpful. Yes, it's also what I consider I'm too lazy to do any real looking for a group button, because on our server specifically, because I'm in that global channel, if you want to call it, or universal channel, you can just make a channel. It's that easy to get around. Is make a channel, sit around, spam it for a couple of days, people join it, and I see people on there, when I'm online looking for tanks and healers and DPS for different things, excuse me, all from one person going, we don't have a looking for group tool, or we don't have a group finder tool. I'm just going to make a global channel and start inviting people to it. And so far, I think that it's worked out all right. I'm not saying that it's the most effective way to do it, but it is a nice band-aid or workaround, if that's what you want to call it. Saves developer time, but if they want to put in a nice shiny little page with a button, then by all means, it's your deal. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with the idea to make the Flashpoint channel on our server, but that was a really good idea, whoever came up with it.
I haven't
So,
seen it
win
yet.
there.
I jumped right in it with every character. I just kept logging over, just kept jumping right back in it. Like, I don't want to forget about this channel, because I do have a tendency to do that.
I'll have to get you to tell me about that later then, because I have yet to see it. Actually, I haven't even heard about it until just now.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I'll give it to you.
And that's the advantage of actually putting in a looking for group tool, which is essentially going to function the same way, but it's easy for everybody to find. I know that channel that you're talking about, Mac. I actually lost it on a bunch of my people when 1.2 popped. Like I lost all my chat channels and have forgot what it was exactly called, so I haven't rejoined it. But I mean, at least if you do it one that the developers put in there, it's easy for everyone to have to find. You don't have to spam, "Hey, everyone join this, everyone join this," and you worry about people missing it.
Right. No, I understand that, but at the same time, hey, look, there's someone on our server specifically that is trying to bring the community of that server together for flashpoints, for operations, for raids, datacron hunts. I mean, it's an everything channel that people can join and find whatever group they need for anything. It could be 2-man heroics on planets or 4-man heroics. I'm in the channel. I see people looking for a 4-man heroic on, say, Alderaan or whatever, and I have an Alta. Oh, give me a second. I'll go over and come do it with you. Now I don't have to look for a group. Somebody else did it. Saves me time. And then I go right back to whatever I was doing before. I love the idea. I'm not saying don't put in the group finder thing. That's not my point at all. I'm just saying that channel is handy. I tip my hat to whoever came up with it. I wish I could remember his name.
It was days.
It was days. Except it was Bizarro days and he had a Tom Selleck mustache.
So what do y'all think about what they said in the Q&A about tying some of the game rewards to legacy, like datacrons?
Fantastic. Less work. Nobody wants to play a game that feels like work. I'm done. Go ahead.
I've been saying they need to do that with datacrons forever since they first announced the legacy thing, is they need to make them character wide, because it takes a long time to track down all the datacrons, and it is a pain in the butt to go back and have to do it 4 or 8 or however many times for however many alts you want if you want to get all those boosts, because you shoot yourself in the foot by not looking for them, right? I mean, it's an easy little permanent stat boost, so it's great, especially if you want to do it on your main for operations or in-game flashpoints or whatever. So getting it across all characters is great. I'm sure it's going to be a super high legacy level unlock, but I'm fine with that. Please bring it. Please.
I'm already too lazy to do it on one of my characters. If I had to do it on all of them, it just would not happen.
Yeah, I've done it on just my main character, and yeah, I would appreciate it if it would just carry over to the other characters. Didn't think they would do it anytime soon, but evidently I'm happy to be wrong, proven wrong.
I don't know that they gave a ETA on it, but
No, they
yeah.
haven't, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to see it. I still haven't gotten all the datacrons on my 50. So, and I have to admit, my Mario skills have improved dramatically since I started datacron hunting. But I'm definitely.
It's because I play the music on YouTube.
The jump man.
Just to sort of play devil's advocate here, let's take the other side. Let's look at it from this way. Don't you think this kind of makes it lazy for them to put something like this in the game for you to go out and find, and making a concise effort on that character to get that character powered up, and they're like, oh, you can just do it with one character and then it counts across everybody. Does it count for Imperial characters too? Do datacrons that I could only get as a Republic character now count for the Imperial side? Do I have to go get those? Are you going to tell me which ones don't cross over so I know which ones I have to go get again?
Well, they already set a precedent because, I mean, it's already in Legacy. Like, if you get a companion affecting all the way up to 10K, it carries over to all your other characters. So, yeah, it's already in there.
Right, but at the same time, it's kind of a immersion breaker for the lore-loving role-playing crowd, and I will play devil's advocate too here. That would be if I was really dedicated to playing each individual character as an individual person, as a role player would, then I would want to go through and find them all. Now, if it's an unlock that I can choose whether or not, perfect, love it.
I think that it would be something that would be an unlock. Now, how they would do it as an unlock, if they would do it as 2 million credits and all of your characters now share all of this, that might be something that would be up for debate. Now, if it was like, I mean, I don't know how many, is there 3 per planet roughly? Datacrons?
3 to 5.
No.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 to 5. Well, Now, if they did something like 200K per datacron, so you like the one that's on Tatooine that takes like 45 minutes to get, that one, that's one that I would grab up right away, and then I go do the other ones that are really easy to find.
That also helps take some of the extra cash out of the economy as well. It's more of a credit sink than boosting the economy, but it drains people with deep coffers that have nothing to spend it on.
My guess is they'll do it like they're doing a lot of the unlocks in 1.3, and it's going to be specific to an individual character. Pay X amount of credits, and you have all the datacrons unlocked on this character and this character only, and you need to do it for every character you have if you want to get it across everybody. It's my prediction.
I think they'll just do it account wide, but we'll see.
I think you're wrong. I'm willing to
Okay.
fight.
Take your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think I'm just gonna throw this. I don't think account wide either, because then I log on to my new level 1, Sith, and he's got all of those datacrons at level 1.
It can't be account wide, because if you gotta realize here that legacy wide and account wide mean two completely different things. I have an account that has an enormous amount of servers on it that I can make 8 characters on. Okay.
I meant per server. I meant server wide.
Right. Your legacy is server specific, so therefore
Right.
it should be legacy
That's
specific.
what I meant. I meant legacy. Sorry.
You better be sorry, Fastcard.
I am.
What do y'all think about the character transfers coming up?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I have to agree with him there.
I definitely have the free ones for from high to low population servers. Isn't that kind of like taking one bucket that's full and one bucket that's half full and just pouring some of it into the other bucket? You might even it out, or you might dump the whole frickin' thing over. I mean, you don't know how many people are going to start jumping servers to go play with real life friends because they picked the wrong server. They don't want to start over. And then you paid. Okay, you want to make a couple extra bucks? Perfect. Let's fix some of the other problems that we have before we start charging people for new things that are more than likely going to have problems.
I think they really need to, before they look into the idea of character transfers, they should look into server mergers. Because I think with the character transfer, what you're going to see is some of those servers that are kind of ghost towns right now are going to turn into serious ghost towns if you let people start transferring off. And if you're going to do that, you might as well just merge the servers in the first place, because you're going to have ones that just disappear. You're going to have a few servers that are really high population, and then other ones are just going to die off. So before you look into character transfers, you might want to think about lowering the amount of servers that they have, because there's already a bunch in this game. And very rarely do I ever log on and see one that's status is above light, or maybe a few that are at standard. It has been forever since I've seen one server that the population said heavy.
I actually see. I've been getting on and looking at that. There's one server that I consistently see that has a heavy population, and it's Batman. And then there's 2 others that are. What isn't there one above standard? I'm trying to think.
I think there's 3 of them. There's a link, a site you can go to. I forgot what it's called, the server status or whatever, and it has the list of every SWTOR server, and like the top 3 are all heavy or above standard.
Yeah.
And the heavy one is PvP, and I think there's one RP and one PvE underneath that.
Right, where everybody's going to congregate from each group on one server. Now, the thing that I see might happen is they possibly will do character transfers, paid character transfers, before they start doing server mergers, simply because they're not making any money off of server mergers, and we all know who is now in charge. EA. So we know that they're going to end up trying to make as much money as possible. Just wring this sucker dry. That's just my opinion and prediction, that it would be paid character transfers first.
They said that they're going to have transfers from specific servers to specific servers, and I'm assuming that is to help address the server population, and that those were going to be free. And then there would be paid character transfers for the character of your choice. And they didn't release a lot of details. They said it would be something that we would see in early summer. So hopefully we'll get more details as we get closer. So it'll be interesting to see first what they offer for the free transfers. If they cap them out at a certain amount, I know when I played WoW and there were server transfers, there were only a certain amount of people they would let transfer over for a certain period of time. So we'll see if they do something like that to try to help keep the population where they want it to be. And it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how the transfers pan out after that. One of the things about merging servers is that as I understand it, the shareholders hate to see that. That makes it sound like the subscriber base is dropping and people start to lose faith. So I have a feeling that's one of the things they're going to try to hold out on. But we'll see. They may end up doing that. They may have to.
Whether or not the shareholders want to realize it or not, the fact remains that subscription numbers have dropped. The reason why one of the reasons why SWTOR's launch was so smooth and successful is because when all those people were coming in at first, they opened up a bunch of different servers for them to choose to play on, so that you wouldn't get overcrowding on one specific area and have people be held up because mobs weren't spawning fast enough or whatever. But since numbers have dropped off, what's happening now is that some of those servers are now becoming ghost towns because of that drop off, or people have transferred like, hey, I'd rather go play on this server because my friends are over there, whatever. So it really helped them out in the beginning. Now it's kind of coming back to bite them on the ass, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, server measures are just part of the game. After a new game launch, new MMO launches, you're gonna have to have all these open servers in order to fill the population. And population drop off is just a natural part of the game. And I don't think it should be a bad word anymore when someone says server measures, because it's natural. You should expect it.
Yeah, but it's also a personal bias, especially when people start to freak out. They see server merger, the game's dying. Well, forget it, I'm done. Then it ends up snowballing on top of each other. I think opening up servers when they first started, people were coming in like crazy, and there was like I don't know. I think I read somewhere it was like an 8-hour queue at some point on like the heavily populated servers.
Oh, yeah.
Opening up new servers was a solution to that. But on the downside, make them wait. If you're going to end up losing people because of the queue, I can't get in there. And then here we are 4 months later, we got, however many servers we got. A lot of them are getting, kind of loose on people. You don't got a lot going on. I'd rather keep them all condensed on one planet, make them wait.
If this game wasn't like Star Wars, I would be more inclined to agree. But since this is the Star Wars IP, I don't think it's going anywhere. So I think like server measures shouldn't have that snowball effect as you were saying before.
I think at this point they're in a situation where they're literally, or they were and are, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if they, let's take these ghost town servers. If they don't do something about the population on those ghost town servers, they're going to lose subscriptions, plain and simple. If they mention their little, shareholder, or if their shareholders don't like the fact that they're going, the whole server merge thing, regardless of whether they do or don't, they're going to lose subscriptions. And it was the same in the beginning. And that's how come it's coming back to bite them now, is because they have all those queues. Oh, we don't want to lose subscriptions. Open up 3 more servers. Let's get these queues out of the way. Well, now they've got a problem where, crap, we don't have enough people on that server. We're going to lose subscriptions. So they're just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I think it's going to really show here over the next couple of months how they handle that and what they do with it, with the server transfer specifically.
Yeah, the first step is kind of see how the server transfers go in the summer and kind of go from there. It's all speculation right now. I mean, it all really depends on how they handle that and how things end up panning out after that particular event goes down. So we'll see. Something to keep the eye on.
And also to add on to that a little bit more, you kind of like what you were saying earlier. We don't really see too many high population servers. So what are people's what's going to be the reasoning for wanting to switch to another server? For wanting to go to this ghost town server. Oh, I can get into my heavily populated server without any queue times. Why do I want to go to a server with nobody? They're going to really have to think about what's going to make people want to go.
Server firsts.
Who cares about?
I'm just throwing that out there. It's a random thing that popped into my head. Yeah, server first, sure. I got bragging rights because I did Nightmare Mode first, and take a bunch of my friends, and I'm going to transfer servers, and I'm going to be the best on that server for whatever because it's
Yeah,
a ghost town server. There's nobody in it.
you're definitely going to have those elitists that are going to do that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Exactly.
the winner by default does not make you the winner.
Well, one of the things they did say in the Q&A, it was in a different question, was that higher motivated players can transfer to a higher population server. So it may not be that all of the transfers will be from high pop to low pop. It may be that they transfer people out of the low pop servers to high pop servers with the intention of reducing the number of servers.
And I think that'd be a good move. That'd be a smarter way to go about it, in my opinion. Let the low pop people get off, and then just drop that server entirely.
And just be quiet about it.
Yeah, just it went away.
Quite honestly, no matter what they do, they need to be careful how they do it because we've seen in the past, couple of months that every time that there's a patch, every time something new comes out, every time they try and fix something else pops up somewhere else, and we got to jump all over that and fix that. People are going to go right on the forums and start crying. Fanboys are going to start arguing with the whiners. It doesn't matter. You can't make everyone happy all the time. What you can do is put out one of the best products in the world.
As long as they're not too over ambitious. I felt with 1.2 they were very, very over ambitious, and I think that as long as they learn from that, granted 1.2 was good, but again, I still feel that there were things that they said they wanted to do or were going to do, and then ended up not doing because we want to get this polished first. Well, that was a little bit over ambitious, and as long as they're not like that with any future bigger, like with 1.3 for example, as long as they stick to we're just polishing these, we're keeping it leaner, and we're polishing certain things up. As long as they stick with that, I think that they're going to have a good thing going.
I definitely think that they were a little over ambitious on this legacy patch. I think the problem and the thought that I'm trying to put back together in my head by babbling innately here is it seemed like filler. It seemed like overhyped filler. Here, look, you start off, pick your name at the end of Act 1. Well, now you got to wait till you can get your legacy unlocks. And here's a couple of really neat things and a lot of filler. Ooh, look what we have coming next. Coming soon. There's a page, coming soon 1.3. Fantastic. Now I get something else to look at. At least now, this time, I have something to look at. Last time, you click on the button, all it was is coming soon, and then vagueness.
Yeah, but you have to think that they're going up against some heavy hitters here. They're pretty much new to this right here, this type of MMO, and they've really got some big shoes to try to not necessarily fill in, but I guess some big footsteps to walk behind for a little while before they can really pull out and say, all right, well, now we're walking beside you, and now we're in front of you.
Right. No, absolutely. They have some huge contenders. Excuse me. They have huge contenders on the market right now, and you've got one massive giant that you're trying to go up against. You got to try and do the best you can to sneak past them. There's no way you can get into a head-on confrontation. You're not going to see anybody going out there, I hope not, and do not try this at home, trying to stop a train with your mind. We all know that ends badly. You use a bad analogy, but you be the best at what you're doing. Be the best at what you're doing. Then yes, they are new to the MMO genre. They have been kings of RPGs in the past. They just need to continue with what they've done in the past and just keep trucking at it and just get better at the MMO part, and they shouldn't have a problem. And I'm hopeful.
Definitely. Let's go ahead. We had said last time we were going to talk about the new content, and we got up in the news and hot topics discussion. But let's go ahead. Exactly. Let's go ahead and talk at least for a couple of minutes about the new Warzone. What are the thoughts on that?
What's it called?
I love to hate it. Um, the concept. I actually like the concept of the tower capping. I thought that was a pretty neat concept. As far as it being Alderaan with that added in, you know, for the hype that they gave it, it really it doesn't impress me too much. There's not a whole lot I can really say about it. It's just another Alderaan.
Yeah, I don't know if I would completely agree with you there. I mean, just from I have not had a chance to play it much myself because I don't PvP much because I'll probably get my butt kicked by everyone out there. But I've heard great stories about people like, oh, we were down, we were almost dead, and we were able to cap these, and we were to hold them back, and we were able to come back and win. That's the great advantage this has over something like Alderaan, where it's going to get to a point on Alderaan where well, we might as well just give up because there's no way we can win. There's never going to be a chance like that here. You can always come back and win, no matter how far down you are. And I think that's fantastic. The fact that it can also be faction versus faction, again, to give people that are tired of playing Hutball and queuing up against their own faction is also fantastic. I think it is a great step in the right direction for war zones for them.
It is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not calling it a terrible war zone. And the cool thing is you're exactly right. You can do that. But it's funny, is there's 3 turrets, and I'm trying to think now, what's the point of even holding 1 turret when it does you no good? Why didn't they just make it 2 turrets? Because you essentially need both turrets to do anything with. But that's a whole, that's getting off on a tangent. It's a fun war zone. It is. Like I said, I like the concept. The concept's pretty cool with the capping and all that other stuff, but it doesn't wow me. It's nothing big. It's nothing different. It's, the fact that you can come back from 1% and beat somebody at 99% is pretty cool, but,
I think one of the reasons they go with 3 turrets instead of 2 is just because of the balance. I mean, otherwise you just have half your team here and half your team there, or
Yeah.
something like that. So it gives an extra dynamic into where people go and where they fight and things like that. I really like the new one, personally. I like Alderaan as a tank because I can stand there and defend, and if I've got a healer with me, we can hold a node, and it's a lot of fun. And especially having something that you can do with your faction versus faction without, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Cutball, but it's nice to have an alternative. So, and I really do like that you can, exactly what's already been mentioned in Alderaan, you got to a certain point and it's like, well, okay. And people will just roll over and give up. And in this one, there's not an incentive to do that because you can come back and still win the war zone. So I really like that.
Well, you could come back in Alderaan. You just got a 3 cap. That's all.
Yeah. But it's interesting how many people didn't even want to try, which, I don't know. That frustrates me. I don't give up until it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing in PvP, as far as I'm concerned, people just giving up beforehand.
One thing I have to say that I thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly love, I can't tell you how much I love this, is Voidstar. Now, when you've made it so far, or like the first group made it so far, and you don't make it through to a certain point, or let me see, how am I trying to word this? The first group only makes it through the first door, or doesn't even make it through the first door, and then you're on round 2, and you make it through the first door, it just ends it right there. And I love that they did that instead of making you have to sit through and just wait and wait and wait. We already know you won, I love that they did that.
Nice. We had a viewer question that we were going to answer, and it kind of tied back into the looking for group. It was from Mr. Grosslide. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And his question was, what do we think is the most important thing for them to add in the game? His answer was the group finder tool. And what do y'all think? We'll start with Mac.
Let's break with more speeder options, faster options. All right, I got my big white coat. I need my bike. I want a nice looking one.
Yeah, I think one of the things they should have like what they should have started with, like the raid checks for raid and stuff like that. And I would, for future content, I would like more events. Nothing like the rat go, but they already said that there'll be different kinds of events. But yeah, I'm looking forward to those. And yeah, looking for Group Finder for should help with Flashpoint.
I don't think that there's any one thing that can be most important. If I had to say what do I want them to add, that would be really, I would just say polish. Just polish the game, and maybe add, continuous content updates. Like they did this one within what, like 3 months. If they can keep doing stuff within 3, 4, it doesn't have to be like every 3 months new content, but continuous polished content updates is what I would have to say would be the most important for the game as a whole.
Yeah, I would pretty much just agree with Days on that one. Is what the game needs to help keep it great. The thing that I probably want more than anything is character slots and more race options. Just especially with Legacy being there, there's no reason why not to. I mean, if I want to get all these species unlocks, because I like to have all my 8 characters right now are all different species. Like once I get that species unlock, right now it's like, well, I've got all my slots used. It means nothing to me. I'm not going to re-roll a new character just so I can have a second chess person on another side or something. So I would love for them to add in more character slots. I don't even care if I have to pay for them, really, just to get a few more. Also because I'd like to try some different class combinations. So I think that would be great. Now, if you're the type of people who only ever play one character and don't do alts, it's not for you, but that's what I'd like to see.
I fully support both the ready check and the extra character slots. Would love to see that. If I was going to go with something different, I want my dual spec, please. Alrighty, well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight and for hanging in there. I think we had a great show. I'd like to thank my fellow panelists. Please join us next week. We will talk more about the content, unless more news and hot topics come up, and then we will talk about those. So as always, it was a pleasure having you join us. And be sure, if you have a viewer question, comment, anything like that, to hop over to tor-world.com or email me at sandy, with an IE, at fragworld.org. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Internet.